So I go on this date, guys, and I FaceTimed them the night before. They were like noticeably drunk, and I was like, okay, benefit of the doubt, right? Maybe they're nervous. So I was like, maybe I'll meet them in person, you know? So they asked me on a date over text after we get off the phone. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I tell them I'm free today for dinner at like 6 if they still wanted to go on this date. And they were like, yeah, perfect. We can make that work. And so I meet them. They kind of hug me a little bit, side hug. They sit in front of me. We don't really talk about much. It's just like the most blandest conversation. They didn't really ask me many questions. It just wasn't the vibe. And then the waiter comes over and he's like, "Is it separate or together?" And she says separate. And so this was not even at the end of dinner. This is before we got our food, and she said separate. So after that, the date went downhill because I was like, "Oh, okay." You could have said together, so we could have both been paying. I could have paid for us, or you could pay for me. Like, I don't care. Like, I felt like this was a date, so somebody needs to pay for both of us. Either that's me or you, and I'm fine if it's me. But like, she said separate, and I was like, okay, weird.
The same date.
I'm assuming she opens the door for me to get out of the place, the restaurant, and then she hugs me and she's like, "Oh, thanks for meeting me. It was great." And I was like, "Yeah," and then I was like, "Yeah, drive safe." So I go to my car. They don't even walk me to my car. And then I go home, and like 30 minutes later, maybe an hour later, I shit you not, they text me. Let me read you the text.
But she say friend.
This is where I get pissed. Because I was so convinced that the date wasn't going to go anywhere that we were just going to ghost each other. So convinced that it was just like, okay, we both agree. Now it's just like the mutual agreement where we don't have to say it. We just know. Apparently not. So she says, "You home safely?" And I was like, "Yes, thanks for checking in." And then she just talks about her grandma, how she scared her grandma because her grandma was like, "Oh, you're home early." And I was like, I bet she was so relieved it was you. Like, clearly I'm not into this conversation. And then she's like, so this is what really, like, what the fuck? Why are you texting me this? She says, "So I know we've only been talking for a couple of days and only met once, but do you have an idea of what you're looking for, if anything?" Mind you, yesterday I told them that I'm looking for something more intentional and looking to intentionally date someone and try to feel someone out for, like, you know what I mean? Intentionally date. I'm not trying to U-Haul, but I'm trying to date someone to get to know them. And then I say intentional dating, but I wasn't sure how you were feeling about me. What are you looking for? And she says, "I don't really know. To be honest, I was kind of wanting to hook up, but you said that's not what you wanted, and I'm not in a place to commit." So she already knows that. And then she continues. So I say, "Do you just want that from me because I'm a body?" And you know what she says? "No, there are a bazillion bodies out there." Like, that's going to make me feel better. And so I said, "I would have invited you over, but I couldn't tell how you were feeling me. However, I'm not into one-night stands. We would have only made out and cuddled, but I didn't get the vibe that you were even interested in that or me." And you know what she says? She says, "What level of commitment do you want from someone before things get physical?" What? You're literally asking me how long it's going to take for me to have sex with you? And so I say, physical as in having sex? And she says, "Sure, I guess." So I say this to her. I say, "I'm curious now. Do you want to have sex with me because you generally find me attractive or simply because I gave you the time of day? If I'm just a body to you, I wouldn't want to have sex with you. I'm generally not opposed to having sex on the first date if I feel like the person generally wants me and isn't trying to have a one-night stand with me. I'm not trying to jump into a serious relationship either. I don't U-Haul." And you know what she says? Gets even worse. She says, "I wouldn't have driven 35 minutes to meet you for dinner if I wasn't attracted to you. But I might be in a place where I'm looking for more fun than commitment. Then I don't respond for a good minute." And she says, "Not the same vibe, question mark?" Then I don't respond for a good minute. And then she says, "Hey, question mark. Did I say something to offend, question mark?" The audacity on this one. Top tier, man. Top tier. And so I say this. I'm full of fucking honest at this point. I say, somewhat. "I find it interesting that you want to have a casual sexual relationship with me when you did not show that with your actions. You didn't compliment me, flirt with me, romance me in any way, buy me dinner, walk me to my car, or touch me outside of a hug. A little more effort would have made more sense, but you didn't even do the bare minimum. How was I supposed to know you found me attractive? So yes, I was caught off guard and I didn't think you were interested. And then she literally just says 2 things to me. That makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to respond to that. What the fuck? Not, you know what it reminds me of? And I want to show you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of this. I got you. Hold on here. Let me show you.
We at least pull up here and get some dinner? Because I like to be wined and dined after I've been... You know, Mom, the least you can do is kiss.
So it reminds me of fucking this guy, Eric Cartman, in South Park the whole time. I was like, well, I would like to be wined and dined before I get fucked. Like, what? Anyways, so that was the top tier date, that like the worst one that I've ever had in the last 2 years. I've never been so infuriated. So that's the story. That was my fucking date today. I hope you enjoyed, because you know what? I'm here for the entertainment too at this point. Like, you didn't even indicate that you wanted anything from me, so how the fuck was I supposed to think that you wanted anything from me? Apparently, I'm just a pack of meat. Like, I'm just not worth getting to make a connection, getting to know and make a connection with. That makes me feel wonderful. Makes me feel so good about myself. Glad you found me attractive to fuck, but not attractive enough to get to know.
It's not you, boo. It's not you. I can already feel that you're a great woman. I felt all that energy. Like, go off, sis. Cause what? I feel you. I'm glad you told her off. Cause I would have told her. I would have just left it. Like, I've already told you. Why am I repeating this over and over again? What my intentions are? Clearly, we not matching up. You cannot convince me to change my intentions, honey. You can't convince me. I would have dated that conversation. Like, what are we doing? I understand that you want to sleep with me. Many people want to sleep with me. I mean, look at me, boo. Look at me. Like, come on. I'm a whole meal out here in these streets. A whole meal. 5-course meal, honey. Appetizer and all dessert. All of it, honey. You want the soup? I'm the soup, bitch. Slurp, slurp. It up, bitch. I'm all of that. All of that. So I understand. I understand why she went off. I'm glad she went off, because nowadays I don't go off enough. I feel like I don't go off enough because I'm a bitch in real life. That's why I don't go off anymore, because I will hurt your feelings in real life, real time. You'll be crying, upset. I hurt my feelings for hurting your feelings. I'd be like, damn, did I go in too much? I was too harsh, but they deserved that bit. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I'm glad you went off, because they need to hear what they did wrong. Because she already knew what she did wrong. So yes, I'm glad you went off, sis. You went off on me, and I felt that. Give yourself time to be upset with that, and then walk away. Don't be upset anymore. Give yourself 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to be upset. Get it all out. I'm glad you made a TikTok. Now let's go. Let's dead it. Let's forget about it. Move on, because you deserve better. You know you deserve better, boo. I hope you get better. I know you will. I already know you will.
I was home for the holidays and I reached out to a past hookup, a veterinarian who looks after horses, a horse doc with a horse, you could say, and we decided to go on a hike. Not just any hike, this hike was hard, and so was I. If you're a bottom who loves bottoms, a hike is a great date idea because you can send the top in front of you and you get to watch his voluptuous booty pulse as he pushes up those steep slopes. It's great. Anyway, all was going well until halfway up, I slipped on a loose rock and my booty slammed into a teddy bear choya. Now, this was definitely not the first time my booty slammed into a bear. It's definitely not going to be the last, but teddy bear choyas have 2-inch long syringe-like needles and like 5 of them jammed into the voluptuous, supple flesh of my posterior. I was shrieking. I was in so much pain, but like a good horse doctor, he knew how to soothe me. With one hand, he rubbed my back, and with the other, he plucked the needles out one by one. Midway through, he wanted to get spicy, and he made a little joke. He was like, honestly, Josh, I thought I'd be shoving something inside you, not yanking things out, but this is nice too. And after he pulled the last needle, kissed me on my stinging booty, and I looked at him and I said, nay!
That was perfect. I love his own energy. I was just like, yo, this is my best friend right here. We're on the same energy league. This is my soulmate. Because that was just like everything that I would have said. Everything, like, that was just, he was me. He was me. I was living through him. That was like real life for me. Because that's like, wow, love it. Love it. I love his sense of humor. I love this guy. I'm about to go follow him on TikTok. Go follow him on TikTok. We're going to follow him together because he's a whole vibe. This fool was it. Nay. I would have did the same thing. Love him. Love it.
One time I went on a date with a dude who was a philosophy major. I know, red flag number one. And so he's talking about like Socrates or whatever. And unprompted, he says that everyone who goes to my art school is dumb. I'm like, sir, actually, I go to that school. So he backtracks and he's like, oh, no, I just, most people, not you, not you. And I'm like, okay. And at that point, I'm like, done. My brain is shut off. But I ask him, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? This man, you know what he says? He says Rihanna, trash. Beyonce, trash. Nicki Minaj, trash. He said every Western pop artist is trash. So I'm like, what do you listen to? And you know what he says? He looks me in the eyes and he says, I only listen to things that stimulate the brain, like classical music and K-pop. It was at that point I knew I had to get out. So I'm like, oh, sorry, I gotta go. And he looks at me and he says, well, I hope we can see each other again. It was nice being out on a date with someone so exotic. I was like, exotic? My family's from Utah. And if you're wondering, yes. Yes, he was. He was.
Ooh! It was like, if you're wondering, he was. That is funny. I love that. I hate that for you, Fred. But it's always good to have a moment that you can just laugh about. Like, I saw the red flags. I'm proud of myself for seeing the red flags. Because sometimes you need those moments. And what's wrong with a philosophy major? Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. I love a little good education. I love opinions and backgrounds that are different from mine. Because it's like, if we do the same thing, we interact with the same people, life gets boring. So it's nice to spice it up and give it a little something different, you know? I don't like one-track, one-minded people. I like when people be open to other things and open to different ideas and possibilities. But thank you guys so much for watching. That was crazy. What not to do? Subscribe. Nay.